The room was full, yet she felt alone. Soft yellow lights hung from the ceiling, casting warm shadows on the walls. People stood in small groups, laughing, talking, leaning closer to each other like magnets pulled together by something unseen. The air carried the faint smell of coffee and fresh fabric, mixed with quiet background music that hummed like a distant thought. She stood near the corner, holding a glass she hadn't touched. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark window. She looked fine. Her clothes were neat. Her hair was carefully set. Nothing seemed wrong, and yet something always felt missing. Across the room, someone laughed loudly. Another person leaned in closer to listen, nodding, smiling, fully present. It looked so easy, so natural. Her shoulders slowly curved inward without her noticing. Her eyes moved quickly, scanning the room but never settling long enough to connect. When someone briefly glanced her way, she quickly looked down, pretending to check something in her hand. It had become a habit. Maybe you're just not that kind of person. The kind of person people notice. The kind of person others are drawn to. She took a small breath and straightened slightly, trying to look more confident. She tried, but it felt forced. Someone walked past her, brushing lightly against her shoulder without even noticing. She stepped aside quickly, almost apologetically. A group nearby started talking about something exciting. She caught a few words. Plans, ideas, shared jokes. She thought about joining. What would I even say? She thought. Her mind began racing, searching for the perfect version of herself to present. Her eyes moved to someone standing near the center of the room. That person wasn't the loudest, not the most dressed up. But people kept turning toward them, listening, smiling, leaning in. There was something calm about them. Their face held a soft, natural expression, not trying too hard. When someone spoke, they gave full attention, as if nothing else existed. She looked down at her own hands. Slightly tense, slightly restless. Always adjusting, always unsure. Her chest felt tight. It wasn't about looks anymore. She had tried that, different styles, each time hoping maybe this will be it. She took a slow breath and finally set the untouched glass down on a nearby table. The surface was smooth and cold. She noticed something new this time. Not everyone was perfect. Some people spoke awkwardly. Some laughed too loudly, but they were still connected, still seen, still part of something. That realization sat quietly in her mind. The person she had noticed earlier nodded as someone else spoke. They didn't interrupt. They simply listened, and something shifted. Listening could be attractive. The idea felt small, almost too simple, but something about it stayed. She took a slow breath and gently straightened her shoulders, but this time, not to impress anyone, just to feel steady. For the first time that evening, she wasn't thinking about how she looked every second. She was just there, present. She didn't suddenly become confident. She didn't become the person everyone noticed. Not yet. But she stopped hiding. For the first time, she wasn't asking, "What's wrong with me?" She was asking, "What am I not seeing?" The music in the background continued its soft rhythm. She felt slightly different within it. Not transformed, just a little more aware. And sometimes, awareness is where everything begins. She didn't rush to change everything the next day. There was no sudden transformation, no dramatic moment where everything became perfect. Instead, it started small, very small. The morning light slipped gently through the window, laying soft patterns across her room. Dust floated slowly in the air, glowing in the sunlight. The world felt calm, almost pausé. She stood in front of the mirror again, but this time, she didn't search for flaws. She just looked. Her shoulders were slightly curved, like they were used to protecting her. Her face held a quiet tension, as if it had forgotten how to fully relax. She didn't criticize it. She noticed it, and that was new. She took a slow breath, then gently straightened her back. Not forced, just enough to feel open instead of closed. It felt strange at first, like trying a new language, but she stayed there for a moment, letting her body get used to it. Just this, she thought, nothing else. That day, she didn't try to impress anyone. She didn't rehearse conversations in her mind. She didn't aim to become interesting. She chose something simpler. She would just listen. Later, when she stepped outside, the air was fresh and slightly cool. A soft breeze moved past her, brushing lightly against her face. People passed by, each lost in their own world. Usually, she would lower her gaze, but today, she kept her head slightly up, not high, not proud, just aware, not hiding. At a small cafe, she found herself waiting in line. A person in front of her spoke to the cashier, their voice a little unsure. They stumbled over their words slightly, then smiled awkwardly. She noticed it. Before, she might have judged it or compared it. Now, she simply observed. When it was her turn, she spoke softly. Not perfectly, not impressively, just naturally. The cashier responded with a small smile. It wasn't a big moment, but it felt different. She didn't rush away. She carried that small interaction with her, like something fragile but real. Over the next few days, she kept practicing, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. She noticed her posture when she walked. Each time her shoulders curled inward, she gently brought them back, not to look confident, but to feel present. She noticed her breathing. When it became fast and tight, she slowed it down. She noticed her thoughts. When they began to criticize, she didn't fight them. Se justamente, follow them. And most importantly, she listened. At first, it felt uncomfortable. When someone spoke, her mind would still try to prepare responses. It would search for something clever, something impressive. But she stopped chasing that. Instead, she focused on the person, their tone, their expressions, the small pauses between their words. Something surprising happened. People started talking more. They opened up in ways she hadn't expected. One conversation turned into two. Two turned into longer moments. She didn't change what she said much. She changed how she showed up, and people felt it. One evening, she found herself in a familiar setting again. The same kind of room. Warm lights, soft music. Groups of people scattered across the space. But this time, something was different. She didn't go straight to the corner. She walked in, slowly, taking in the room. Her body felt steadier. Not completely confident, but not shrinking either. She joined a small group. At first, she stayed quiet, but not the old kind of silence. This silence was calm, not afraid. When someone spoke, she looked at them not quickly, not nervously, but with gentle attention. They noticed. She could see it in the way their eyes stayed on her a little longer, in the way their voice softened slightly, as if they felt understood. At one point, someone asked her a simple question. In the past, this would have created panic. Her mind would race, her voice would tighten. But now, she paused. Justa sekong, she let the moment breathe. Then answered simply, no pressure, no performance, just honesty. The conversation continued, and something unexpected happened. Someone leaned in slightly closer to her, listening, interested. She felt it, not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. For the first time, she wasn't chasing attention. It was coming to her. Naturally, she remembered the person she had watched before, the one who listened, who stayed calm, who didn't try too hard. She understood now. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about making others feel seen. Days turned into weeks. Her habits stayed small, but consistent. She kept her body open, not closed. She dressed simply, cleanly, not to impress, but to feel comfortable in herself. She spoke when she had something to say, and stayed silent when she didn't. She stopped interrupting her own thoughts with doubt, and slowly, her energy changed. People greeted her more often. They remembered her. They included her, not because she became someone else, but because she finally allowed herself to be present. One afternoon, as the sun began to set, She sat near a window again. The sky was painted in soft orange and pale pink. Light reflected gently on the glass, creating a calm, quiet atmosphere. She caught her reflection once more. This time, she didn't search for flaws. She noticed something else. Her face looked softer. Her eyes looked calmer. There was a quiet confidence there, not loud, not demanding, just steady. Real. She realized something then. Attraction was never about being the most beautiful person in the room. It was about how people felt around you, and people felt safe, calm, and seen around her now. That was the difference, not her face, not her clothes, not perfection. Who's present? A small memory crossed her mind, the version of her who stood in the corner, holding an untouched glass, feeling invisible. She didn't feel sadness for that version anymore. She felt understanding. Because that version wasn't lacking. She was just unaware. And awareness changed everything. The room she once feared now felt familiar. Not because it changed, but because she did, in the quietest way possible. No one announced it, no one pointed it out. But people felt it, and that was enough. She leaned back slightly, letting the soft light fall across her face. A gentle sense of peace settled within her. Not the kind that comes from being noticed, but the kind that comes from finally noticing yourself. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes someone truly attractive. Not the need to be seen, but the ability to see. If this story made you feel something, even quietly, you can let it stay with you. Sometimes, small changes are the ones that change everything.